Okay, this is number 8 for the first week of AR105, and we're almost done. Just going over a little bit in the Egyptian art period, understand a few things there and a couple highlights, and then we'll move on to Greece. Here, even though we could study the Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom, really you don't have to worry about that. Just understand there was an Amarna time period, and here are the hallmarks of Egyptian. A lot of the artwork deals with life and death, okay, and the afterlife, especially the royalty. Much of the artwork that we see, although not all, has to deal with the pharaoh, his family, and their afterlife. That really gets the vast amount of attention. Creating their artwork, very strict rules about using a grid and proportions, especially on wall paintings, and relief sculptures in stone at different temples. Very strong outline, especially in those wall paintings. They just love to use flat two-dimensional space and then make relief sculptures out of them. And many of the art forms are very idealized. The human form is idealized, that it isn't realistic. It does look real, but once you break it down, that the proportions are just not right, and how they angle and pose the body is not feasible really with the human being. Okay, so here's a map. We'll be quickly looking at Giza up here on the Nile, Luxor, Thebes, and then Tel Amarna is right here, and that's one of the important things that we'll look at. Here's a typical artwork that's Egyptian. I could probably show this to anyone in the class and everyone would say, yes, that's Egyptian, because we just know that from our culture. Okay. One of the interesting things that we see here, though, is this person on the left in this stone sculpture, and this person, which is an artist representation interpreting a wall painting of an unfinished grave, tomb site, where these lines were put in red paint that could be painted over or removed, and it becomes a grid. That this unit is, I'll say, a palm, a one hand breadth high. So what they've done is created a person that above their knees, where the kilt is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units high. Up to the waist area, 3 units. Another 3 to the bottom of the rib cage. Another 2.5, 3 is the shoulders. And another 2.5, 3 top of the head. And what we can do is superimpose that onto this person, and it's almost the same. Okay, so 2 pieces that are, one's in a tomb, painted, ready to be chiseled, and it wasn't chiseled away. That's why we still have it. And this one on this stone relief, exactly the same. So what you can do is look at this person. Their feet are off to the side. Their hips are facing forward. Feet are apart. But then look at this, the shoulders are facing the viewer. Okay, you can try that at home, or in your dorm, wherever you are, and then the head is facing back to the right again, to the front. That really cannot happen, but that's important to the Egyptians because they wanted to see the whole person. The person was not a whole person unless you can see the width of their shoulders, to see their profile, to see their hips in profile, their feet in profile. A foot that would have been pointed at the viewer with their toes coming forward was not a complete foot, because in the artwork it looks just like a table leg or a gazelle leg or something else than human. So they needed to make it look human. Okay? And one of the things about the Egyptian art is the eye. That the eye is very important, and even though this head is facing towards the right, the eye is represented looking straight out. So actually it's a precursor maybe of Cubism and of Picasso in creating two different orientations on the same head. Okay? Okay, here's a piece similar to what we looked at for the elements of art, but it's a sculpture that's very closed, it's very solid, it's not moving. It's to show how the Pharaoh is in control. He has strength. Okay. Another one of the Mankare is the male and his wife, and showing their partnership. Okay. She is not equal to him, but still she is an important part of his reign. And I just love this one. This is for a person. He was probably like a middle manager. And this is a wood sculpture, just under 4 feet tall, that was found in his own tomb. So it isn't just the rich, the famous, the rulers, the Pharaoh that got really good tombs. The Egyptians very much appreciated the afterlife and their concept of it. So here we have a guy who's not idealized. He's healthy. He has a tummy on him. He has a belly. He's thicker. So he does not have to be idolized like the Pharaoh would be, who had to be perfect. Okay, here's a precursor of what we think of as a pyramid, where they had to start out with these step pyramids. And we can see that there are numerous layers here stepping up. Okay, some of the earliest tombs in Egypt are called mastabas, and they look about like the top here. Okay, here in the foreground we actually see maybe representations of them, where this is built for the pharaoh and royalty, and these are more of their court, okay, and their tombs nearby. But to show the strength of the pharaoh, they started building mastabas that were bigger and bigger and bigger, and they stepped them, still creating that look. Then very soon, you get the idea, and of course my image is bad here. Hold on. There we go. Here are the Great Pyramids, and near the Great Pyramids are the step pyramids that harken back and almost are like experiments, but these are for queens. And these 3 huge pyramids. I won't go into detail on those, but a very, very different type of architecture, unique architecture, huge mammoth architecture. These little people here are not even beside this first Great Pyramid. They're closer, and we can see the great disparity here and contrast in size. So really, these are just massive. And yes, these are tombs. Here's a cutaway of the interior, and you can, for a certain price, go on a tour of the inside of the Great Pyramids. And here's one of the entrances. Now, to me, what's interesting here is Here's an entrance for tourists. Here is the construction of these massive, huge limestone blocks. If you look at how big these people are compared to these blocks and these blocks here, these are absolutely huge, massive. I can't even put it into words how big these are. And then to think, how did they get there? What technology did they have to create this? And then I just want to highlight the Amarna period. This is a period when Akhenaten, the pharaoh, had a experience, a vision, and was told that he needed to worship one god versus all the gods. So he changed the religion of all of Egypt, created a whole new capital, created whole new forms of art. Art changed. Up until that time, the art, let me go back here real quick. The art was more like this. And because it was part of the religious system, it couldn't change. You couldn't change what the people were like. You couldn't change what the pharaoh looked like. So then Akhenaten changes all of it, and we see that his statue is more naturalistic. And one thing about this is he has hips, he has a tummy, he has more of a feminine face, where all the other pharaohs were very manly looking. Okay, now through DNA testing within the last 5 years, it's been confirmed he is the father of King Tut, Tutankhamun. And here we have King Tut's burial mask that's very, very famous. In 1977, it was on tour with a lot of his tomb paraphernalia, and I was actually able to see it in Chicago. I was quite young at the time, but it made a major impact on me. One thing about this, and the book doesn't really bring it out, so I'm going to show you some slides of the detail on this piece. Run through some of the things. This is his tomb. This is the sarcophagus that he was in. That sarcophagus was surrounded by multiple layers of wood covered in gold, and then another layer of wood covered in gold, and then another and another, until you get down, and here's one of the gold boxes. This is wood covered in gold. Multiple layers until you get down to the stone sarcophagus. And that's this piece here, and this piece in the photograph. Inside of that is this wood, gold-covered coffin. And when they opened that up, what did they find but another coffin that was wood and gold-covered? They opened that up, and what did they find? They didn't find a coffin that was wood and gold covered. They found a solid gold coffin, head to toe, totally encasing the mummy. And then when they opened that up, that's when they found, that's the solid gold one. That's when they found the burial mask that's gold with inlays of stone. So what you have here is multiple layers, lots and lots and lots of gold. In fact, it's been estimated at 243 pounds of gold just for that innermost coffin. And a few years ago when I priced it out, that would have been almost $7 million worth of gold just for that one coffin. It is priceless though. And here is the famous King Tut.